The dust swirled around my ankles, creating small clouds with each step I took. As I walked towards the small schoolhouse in southern Lebanon, I could feel the weight of the journey ahead. Kabrika Elementary, a humble building nestled among olive groves, was my new home for the next year. The school stood as a beacon of hope amidst the rustic beauty of the Lebanese countryside where flowers were blooming. I was there as part of UNIFIL peacekeeping force. I was a soldier in Ghana battalion and also a teacher. My role was different yet equally important. I was in the humanitarian section in the peacekeeping operation. My mission was to teach English to a classroom of bright-eyed Lebanese children. These children, full of curiosity and potential, were eager to learn and grow. The air was thick with the scent of olives and wood smoke, a stark contrast to the sterile, air-conditioned classrooms I was used to back home. Here, the environment was raw and authentic, adding to the charm and challenge of my new teaching post. This was Lebanon, a land steeped in history, struggling to rebuild after years of conflict. The scars of the past were visible, yet the spirit of the people was unbroken. And I, a young teacher from a world away, was tasked with planting seeds of hope through the power of language. Each lesson was a step towards a brighter future, a future where these children could dream beyond the confines of their immediate reality. Their faces, filled with hope and determination, reminded me daily of the importance of my mission. In this small schoolhouse in Kabrika, we were building more than just language skills, we were building bridges to a better tomorrow. The children, a mixture of boys and girls, greeted me with a mix of shyness and excitement. Their eyes, wide with curiosity, followed my every move. Some giggled nervously, whispering to each other in Arabic, a language I was still struggling to grasp. Despite the language barrier, their smiles were universal. They were eager to learn, their enthusiasm contagious. I knew then that this experience would be as much a learning journey for me as it would be for them. Teaching English in a remote Lebanese village was not without its challenges. The journey to the school itself was a daily adventure, navigating through winding roads and rugged terrain. The language barrier was the most obvious one. Many of the students had never heard English spoken before, making every lesson a new and often confusing experience. Simple instructions like "open your books" became exercises in charades and broken Arabic. I often found myself miming actions and using exaggerated gestures to get my point across. Then there were the sounds, the nuances of English pronunciation that my students struggled with. The subtle differences between similar sounds were a constant source of frustration. The pupils were eager to learn English but faced challenges with the pronunciation of certain letters, such as A, E, I, and K, because they were used French pronunciations. Despite these limitations, their enthusiasm and positive attitude toward learning were truly inspiring. We spent countless hours practicing these sounds, repeating them over and over until they became more familiar. But with patience and perseverance, we found ways to bridge the linguistic divide. Each small victory, like correctly pronouncing a difficult word, was celebrated with smiles and applause. We used pictures, gestures, and even resorted to drawing diagrams on the dusty chalkboard. These visual aids became invaluable tools in our quest to understand each other and build a bridge of communication. One afternoon, feeling disheartened after a particularly challenging lesson, I confided in the school's headmaster. The students had been restless, and my attempts to engage them seemed futile. I felt like I was failing them, and the weight of my inadequacy was heavy on my shoulders. A man of quiet wisdom and gentle demeanor, he listened patiently to my woes. His eyes, filled with understanding, never left mine as I poured out my frustrations. He had seen many teachers like me, struggling to find their footing. "Patience, my son," he said, his voice a soothing balm to my frustration. "Every great teacher has faced moments like these. It's part of the journey. Teaching is not about filling a bucket, but about lighting a fire." His words resonated deeply, offering a new perspective. It wasn't just about delivering content, it was about inspiring curiosity and a love for learning. His words struck a chord within me. I realized that my role was to spark their interest, to make them eager to learn more on their own. It wasn't about cramming their heads with grammar rules and vocabulary lists. It was about creating an environment where they felt excited to discover new things. It was about igniting a passion for learning, for exploring new worlds through the power of language. I began to see my students not as empty vessels to be filled, but as sparks waiting to be ignited. His words became my guiding principle for the rest of my time in Kabrika. I approached each lesson with renewed vigor, focusing on kindling their curiosity and enthusiasm. The headmaster's lesson was one I would carry with me always, a beacon of light in my teaching journey. I would like to share a piece of advice from the head teacher that left a lasting impression on me. He said, "The teaching profession is a noble one, and a teacher should be like an angel, tolerant and patient." This wisdom has remained with me throughout my journey as an educator.